Can we get the blue mic on, please?
Can everybody hear me?
Hey,
There you
you
go. Hi. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Not for me. I know you're here for all of this stuff and the tanks and everything. But it's nice to see you.
Somebody just yelled, we're here for you. Somebody just yelled, we are here for you.
And I am here for you. Hello. Yes. Hi. Hey.
Well, first of all, welcome to Berlin.
Oh, great to be here. Great city. I want you all to know how lucky you are to live here if you indeed do live here.
Why?
Because I live in Los Angeles and it's sunny all the time.
Horrible.
And you go crazy, you know?
All the
Because every
time.
day it's like 80 degrees, or today it's 90 degrees, or it's going to be 95 degrees. There's no variation in the weather whatsoever. So it's very nice to come to a place that has some real weather.
We have seasons.
I grew up in season. I grew up in the northeastern part of the United States in New Jersey, so I like seasons, I like cold. I like leaves falling from trees. It's, you know, the natural rhythms of life don't happen in California. It's just sunny all the time.
And imagine we can have 4 different sets of clothes for different seasons. It's
Right.
amazing.
My wardrobe in California is shorts, t-shirt, flip-flops. That's it.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you to be here.
My pleasure.
I think there's a lot of fans of... Exactly. So, I'm a little bit how you say it, crazy? Is it a good word? Are we crazy fans? Yes, we're a little bit. So, sorry, a lot of questions gonna be about Luke and the Gilmore Girls. But before we jump into it, I want to talk about something else. You don't have just one career. You're like a renaissance man. You were an athlete, a professional baseball player, you're a writer, a painter, a collector. Did I miss something? Musician, I missed the musician, sorry. So what brings you the most pleasure, or do you miss being an athlete? Tell us a little bit more about your other life than being an actor.
I do not miss being an athlete. That was when I was in my early 20s through my mid 20s. And that, you know, professional sports is for young people. And I did that and I moved on and that was fine. I think the thing that gives me the most pleasure, that's the most immediate, it's like live theater is music, because you're playing live in front of people. Like right now I wish I had a guitar and I could play a song or something, or I had my band with me, we could just blast away. And that's a lot of fun to give that instantaneous joy to people if they happen to like the song.
So wait, if I organize a guitar for tomorrow...
Possibly.
Guys, you have to help me out. But what songs do you prefer? Love songs, sad songs, happy songs?
I used to write a lot of sad songs, and I don't like them anymore. I just think they're really self-indulgent. I've written a lot of breakup songs that are a little bit on the intense side, that are kind of punk rocky. I like punk rock, I like the Sex Pistols, I like Iggy Pop, I like all of that. Any kind of rock music that's DNA is really punk, I really like. Patti Smith. And I've written a lot of love songs, and those are the new songs that I'm going to be recording in the next year, are the prettier songs, the more melodic songs. I used to do these staging shows on the computer, and I played one of those love songs, and they seemed to react very favorably to it, so I'll give it a try.
Fair enough. Do you gig every week, or do you have...
No. I haven't done one in probably over a year.
Oh.
But we're organizing some shows in Los Angeles now with the band.
Very good.
So it'll be, you know, in venues like the Whiskey, the Mint, you know, those kind of places. The Viper Room. Yeah.
That's really exciting.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
And what about your art collection? Because that's something that is interesting as well. What do you collect?
Well, I try to collect as many Basquiats as I can, that I can afford. I can't afford too many. My more inquisitive friends have nice nice art collections, and they have some original Basquiat's from the early 80s before he became really famous. And so I like to go over there and have dinner, and I said, can we go look at the paintings now?
Are you going to switch them once for a fake one?
Maybe. I said, this looks like your wife's painting, and no, that's Jean-Michel. I said, oh, really? So, but I like collecting all kinds of people, and I started painting again because I couldn't afford the big, you know, the Basquiat's of the world and the Van Goghs. So I just started making my own. They're not as good, but they're colorful, and they kind of, you know, there's no longer white walls. There's some paintings, and I like them.
So you're a very creative soul, aren't you?
Yeah, I like to keep busy. That's for sure.
But earlier you started a theater group as well.
Yeah, I had a theater group in the late '80s in New York City, and you know, you need to. I've always been a person who wanted to do their own thing and just sort of create a nice little troupe of actors who would do nice little plays and not try to make too big a buzz. It's very competitive in New York City, and you know, you learn your craft, and that's the best way to learn your craft is to actually do the plays. So.
Fair enough. Thank you so much. Guys, are you ready to ask questions? All right, so there are some questions. I'm gonna keep here asking a little bit more because I wanted to ask a little bit about the difference between playing in theater, being in the movies, and being in the TV shows. Of course, it's a big difference, but which one is the most favorite for you?
You know, I like them all. Theater, you get to be really big. You know, you get to sort of, you know, project your voice to the back row. And, you know, film, you get to be very, very small. You sort of talk like this, look like that. And that's all you need to do.
There's like tiny eye twitches or...
I'm telling you, when you work in film, it's very small. It's very, very small. You can't really move that much.
You can like tone down.
Well, you just gotta, yeah, that's film.
If you could choose one of those, theater, cinema, or TV, what would you choose to play till the end of the days?
Film.
Film?
Yeah.
That's the most fun?
It's the most challenging.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Wait, why so?
Because you have to work that small. And you know, for me, the craft of acting is less is more. It's the less you give, the larger the moment becomes, and that's requires some real internalizing what you're feeling and sitting on your feelings and not so much expressing them, but letting them come through the eyes. So that's an interesting challenge.
Fair enough.
Although I love performing Hamlet, I can't imagine doing it on film.
It must be so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's meant for the stage, but I've seen people try to put it on film, and you know, it's
Leonardo DiCaprio did it.
well, I mean, that was Baz Luhrmann that did it. That was Baz's show.
But okay, so before I jump into Luke, I want to ask you about the Saw movies.
Okay.
Was that fun to shoot?
You know, a lot of people have asked me, how did you get from Gilmore Girls to Saw?
Exactly.
It's like, we don't get that. From the sublime to the, you know, to Saw. And what I say to them is, I don't judge a role. It's you know, the role that was offered to me was as an FBI profiler, which fascinated me. I'd never played anything like that. I was interested in exploring that, and I didn't want to judge the film or the genre. I just wanted to play the role. And I think one of the mistakes that actors make when they act in a horror film is they know that they're acting in a horror film, and they act like they're acting in a horror film. And that leads to some very bad acting, by the way. So I wanted to, you know, do my part in not being a bad actor in a horror film, knowing that I was in a horror film, acting like I was in a horror film. I just wanted to be, I did my research and I visited the FBI in Los Angeles, and I did my homework and I applied what I learned to the role, and I did the role the way that I researched it, and I mean, I enjoyed every moment of it. I didn't like the part where I got squished. I didn't.
Yeah, that was...
I wasn't happy about that because they didn't tell me about that.
They didn't?
No, they didn't tell me.
Really? So how did it go?
I was in the makeup chair before Saw 5 in Toronto before we started shooting, and I had to get fitted for the, you know, that neck piece, that prosthetic thing. Like, did all of you see the movie? Anyway, so
Who saw?
All right, so after they made that piece and fit it on my neck, in the prosthetic shop, I said, "Okay, guys, thanks, bye." And they said, "Where are you going? You're not done." I said, "We got to do your arm." I said, "What are you talking about? It's not in the script." And I said, "Well, you know, don't you know they didn't tell you? You're getting crushed."
Jeez. That's the worst way to learn, no?
So no, I didn't know that. So they had to do a broken bone, a compound fracture of my arm. And so I sat there in silence while they did that, and, you know, texted my agent, like, what the hell was going on here? I thought I was going to be in 6 and, you know, that kind of thing. So anyway, but anyway, I think the main point is, it doesn't really matter what the genre is, or if it's work, you take the work. If the role intrigues you, if it challenges you, that's why you work. You don't do it for the money or the fame, you just do it because you're interested in exploring that world that character inhabits, and I was interested in that. I found that I was a pretty good shot, too.
Really?
Like they literally asked me if I wanted to be in the FBI, and I'm like, okay, maybe. You know, let's see how the film career goes.
Here you go. You have another option then, just in case.
I can profile every single one of you, so be careful.
That's scary. That's scary. All right, I'm gonna jump to Luke.
Okay.
Guys, are you excited? So how did you get the role? How do you get a role of Luke?
So I read the script. I thought it was really too good for me. I thought, you know, at that time, movie stars were beginning to drift into TV. And casting people were very interested in casting movie stars. So I thought, this material is too good for me. I prepared the material. I went to the audition. It was my second audition of the day. I had 3 that day. The third one was to play opposite Carmen Electra, and she was playing a fembot. She was a robot detective. And so I was late for that audition. I did one scene. I met Amy and Gavin Pallone, and I met Leslie Lincoln Glatter, and I read one scene for them. And I just, you know, I prepared, but I was at that point in my career where I didn't care anymore. I was just like, whatever, I'm not going to get this. And I was really good at auditioning. I'd been auditioning so much that I became very skilled at it. It's actually a skill set. It has nothing to do with acting, but it has everything to do with psychology. So if you can get in the room and flip the psychology on them by not caring and not giving away your power, then you have a chance. If you don't do that, you won't have a chance. So I learned to do that in the room.
How did you learn it? Because that's a skill. Like, I want to know.
Because I wasn't getting roles being a nice guy.
Okay, so you have to be an asshole? Sorry.
A little bit. I was a little edgy in the room. I wasn't disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, hey, what's up? How you doing? You know, I scratched my belly a little. It's like, can we do this? I gotta go. You know, this kind of, and they like that. They like it when people do that. So I learned to do that. And then when I did the scene and I said, okay, bye. And they said, where are you going? You got another scene to do. And I said, no. There's only one scene you gave me. They said, no, there's 2. And I looked at the thing and it said Duke, D-U-K. I said, this says Duke, not Luke. I said, oh, we're so sorry. Would you mind going outside and looking at this and preparing this and coming back in 5 minutes? And I said, since I really didn't care and I wasn't going to get it anyway, I said, yeah, sure. So I did, and I came back in and I did that scene and I left. And by the time I got home, there was a message on my machine waiting for me from my manager that I'd gotten the job. But it was only a guest star role in the pilot. It wasn't the series regular thing. we did the pilot. We knew that it was a chemistry check with Lauren's character, and if that chemistry was going to work out, then we'd probably get offered more episodes. So and that's what happened. They offered 2 episodes, and we said no, thank you. They offered 4 episodes, and we said no, thank you. And my manager said to Gavin Pallone, go to Warner Brothers and get him the money and get him a 6-year contract, for Christ's sake. You want him. And that's what he did, and she invited me to lunch and held up a vanilla envelope and said, there's your future.
Nice.
So it was a nice lunch. Very
so
nice
you
lunch.
basically negotiated your way into that series.
We played hard to get.
Nice. That is a good tip as well for life, isn't it?
You gotta have the confidence to walk away. You gotta really mean it too. You can't just fake it, because at the end, you'll just cave and take whatever they give you. But we were taking a lot of risks, and it was like, I almost became the guy. Look, I have a friend. Here's a story. You want to hear a story? I have a friend who turned down Robert Redford. You remember the film River Runs Through It with Brad Pitt? It made Brad Pitt's career. And it was not only a great novel, but a great film with a great filmmaker in Robert Redford. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with Robert Redford? Who cares how much they were paying? And my buddy was like, they don't want to pay me anything. And I said, who cares? It's Robert Redford. Get your ass over there, sign the deal, and go do the movie. He didn't do it. And if I told you his name, you probably wouldn't know who he is. I mean, you would, but you would be like, huh. He was the guy that turned down Robert Redford and gave Brad Pitt a career, okay?
That was his role in Universe.
And I was about to become that guy who turned down the Luke role and somebody else was gonna get it. I was like, what am I doing? But,
That's pretty cool, that's a good story.
Yeah.
Guys, are you ready now to ask questions? Yes! So, hands up, and my lovely assistant with the microphone will run to you, hopefully, and where is he? Here you go. Hi! Hi. Which superhero role would you like to play if you could choose one of them, and why?
I'm sorry, what kind of role?
A superhero. A superhero.
A superhero?
Yeah. Which superhero would you like to play and why? Tough one.
I guess a guy that, here's a superhero for you. How about a guy who, likes to play music, but, he can't organize all the musicians all the time to rehearse, because it's really a pain in the ass. A guy that can make all different sounds come out of him, so he's like one band. But he doesn't have like cymbals on his knee or anything like that. But yeah, maybe that kind of a superpower. He could generate sounds.
One orchestra man. Are you talking from experience?
No. No. Like one guy could sit down and Beethoven's Ninth could come out of him or something. I don't know.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you very much. That was a good question. Next one, please. Hi.
My question is, which movie do you like better and which movie do you think Luke would like better? Casablanca or Judy Garland's The Star is Born?
Ooh.
Casablanca on both questions.
That was a nice question. Thank you very much. Next question. Hi.
Not working. Oh, working. Hey. My question is, if you met Luke in a real life, would you become friends, or if he's not your kind of bloke you would hang out with?
I wouldn't have liked him at first, but I think he would have liked me. And we would have become friends because I would have, been that guy. I would have softened him up a little bit. We would have been very happy together, I feel.
That would be a good friendship. Next, please.
Hi. First of all, I want to say I love you so much.
Thank you, I love you too.
Are two questions allowed? Okay. First one is, how was it for you to come back to the set after so many years?
It was interesting. I'd gotten married and had a son. I didn't really feel like Luke anymore, to be honest with you, because I'd lost a lot of that anger, that angst that he holds, right? I mean, it's a real thing. And I was a little bit lost in the first rehearsal back in the diner, and I asked Amy if I could just walk around Stars Hollow for 10 minutes just to get the old scent back, I wanted to walk in the shoes and, just walk around and think the thoughts. And I thought I'd done my homework and I just hadn't done it, I guess, enough. And I just did not feel like the guy. But when I took that little walk around town, it came back. And I walked into the diner and I said, let's go. So.
Nice, thank you. And the second question?
One is, my sister is the biggest Gilmore Girls fan I know in the whole world, and she can't be here because she just gave birth to her second child, and she's at home and my friend is filming, so can you just say, hi Tina, I love you?
Tina?
Tina, yeah.
Hi Tina, happy baby, I love you.
The baby's name is Hannah.
Hi Hannah, love you Hannah, happy mommy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That was cute. Next question, please. Hello.
Does it work? Okay, so hi, it's so nice to see you here. It's a soft question. I mean, your character died in a very cruel trap, but what's your favorite trap? So your personal.
I like that. I like the head thing.
Oh, okay.
I thought that would make the character a real badass, To get out of that? I mean, that's cool.
So, it was really cool, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Next question, please.
Hello. I wanted to know how much did you miss playing Luke between 2007 and 2015?
Oh, not at all. No. After 154 episodes, you're like,
And was there already a call for a new season, maybe?
If there was what?
Was there a call from Amy Sherman-Palladino? Is there a new season, maybe, of Gilmore Girls?
Is there going to be more? Are we getting more?
Yeah, you know what, I don't know. I will tell you this, Netflix does have the license for another couple of years. I think they have it until 2022 or 2023, so all I can say is hang in there, gang. I'm doing everything I can.
Thank you.
Trust me.
That would be awesome. Next question, please.
Hi. You mentioned Robert Redford earlier. Is there an actor you would really love to play with, like your favorite one, or you already have, maybe?
Anybody on Gilmore is great. I particularly loved working with Sean Gunn, and I loved working with Michael Winters, who played Taylor, because he was, such a skilled actor, and it's great to have that immediacy, that back and forth. And people I haven't worked with, there's so many. My favorite actress is Miranda Richardson, and I would love to act with her. I just think she's the best thing going. There's a scene, did you ever see the film Damage with Jeremy Irons? She plays the wife. You never saw that? Well, there's a scene in there where she kicks him out of the house, which is, very few actresses in the world could pull that off the way she did it. Just an extraordinary talent. And I love Gary Oldman. Daniel Day-Lewis, I saw his Hamlet on Broadway, and he's the real thing. He's the real deal. He really got the prince, he got the behavior. Gosh, there's so many people I'd love to work with. It would take all day.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Next question, please.
So you played baseball, right? Do you have a favorite team? And when you have this favorite team, what is it?
I'm a Philadelphia boy, so I like my Philadelphia Phillies. They signed Bryce Harper. Yay. But they didn't make, you don't even know what I'm talking about. Anyway, they didn't make it into the playoffs this year, even though they paid the guy $330 million. But the Atlanta Braves drafted me, so I like the Atlanta Braves. My buddy, my good friend, is the manager of the Atlanta Braves, and I'll be seeing him when he comes to Los Angeles to play the Dodgers. So the Phillies and the Dodgers, to answer your question. I mean, no, definitely not the Dodgers. Atlanta Braves.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, is it working? Okay. I know you mentioned a few actors you haven't acted with. Was Jared Padalecki one of them because he played Dean on Gilmore Girls?
Was he what?
No, he played Dean, Jared Padalecki.
Right.
If you have seen or ever acted with him in why playing Luke on Gilmore Girls?
I did a couple of scenes with him. I did one where we were like playing with a toy, a children's toy. Yeah, it was fun.
Would you like to play with him again?
Sure, yeah, why not? You know, they're all great. You know, they're all great to work with. Sure.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, sweetheart.
Especially Lauren Graham.
Huh?
Are you still in contact with especially Lauren Graham?
Oh yes, I am. Nice. She's beautiful.
Jeez, look at the smile.
Look at her. We just ran into each other at the supermarket and had a nice talk. And I run into people a lot. I run into Yannick at the gym every once in a while. He's usually sitting outside and he doesn't go in. And when I leave, he's sitting there. I see Milo every once in a while. We ride motorcycles. Take it easy. I want you to take it easy. Take it easy. I said Milo, that's all I said. That's it. They went crazy. I see you once in a while.
Thank you so much. Next question, please.
When you got the script at the end for the 7th season and it didn't have a wedding for Luke and Lorelai, were you thinking like, okay, this could be hard for the fans, they were probably disappointed, or was it just like, okay, it's going to be that way and they feel fine, or so how did you feel about that?
So we didn't know it was the last season. We had no idea. I suspected it would be because Warner Brothers had offered Amy a 1-year deal. And that was an insult to her. They normally offer 2 years, and that's respectful, okay? So she was leaving. She turned it down. So she was gone after 6 seasons. She was gone. She quit. She didn't take the 1-year deal. So we had David Rosenthal take over the show for season 7. And as talented a writer as he is, it's impossible to capture the tone and the characters from somebody else. He didn't create them. Those characters are so unique, they just came out of her crazy brain, right? So we kind of had a sense that it might be over after 7, and we heard some things about certain people being a little bit creatively bankrupt and they wanted to move on. And you mentioned the wedding. I think the revival in 2016 for Netflix was, for me, not satisfying at all. And I thought that it abused the fans. And I didn't appreciate that. I mean, the fans had been waiting for 16 years for a big wedding. And they had 4 episodes to do it. You do the pre-wedding, the wedding, and then the aftermath. And there's your 4 episodes. And you do it in the center of town and you involve all the people. And that would have been a global fan celebration for the Luke and Lorelai wedding. Instead, you get this little thing in the gazebo, which was nothing, and who cares? And the genius of the writing, pissed me off. Really pissed me off. The genius in the writing, though, is those writers tend to make very large things small and small things very large. That's why it's so unpredictable and so good. It keeps everybody so intrigued. But I think on something that iconic and that necessary, the storytelling, it had to go there. The characters were screaming at them to go there. And instead they just sort of like, I was not, I don't want to get too serious here, but it's kind of a big deal because the fans, you know, they come up to me all the time and they say, we didn't like that. And I said, I didn't like it either. I'm a fan too and I didn't like it. And I've let them know that I didn't like it. Not that they care, but I said, you know, you got to give the fans a big fat wedding. I mean, now they're around for 19 years. So let's go, give them a wedding. I actually just sent an email off, like, when's the wedding?
We can do the vow renewals, no?
So I know how you feel. I know how the fans feel. You got shortchanged, and God damn it, I'm going to do something about it.
Woo! Thank you so much. We thank you for knowing our feelings as well.
Know your feelings. They're mine.
Guys, we have time for one last question, so make it good. No pressure.
Okay. Hello. What did you think when they told you that there will be a new season of Gilmore Girls in 2015? Or when did you ever?
I did a little dance. I do the happy dance. When we get good news, I just jump up and down a little bit. No, we're pretty happy. Well, I have to do it here. Come up stage. You, come up. You, come up to the stage.
Uh-oh. Woo! Are we gonna do the happy dance?
We're gonna do the happy dance. Okay, so here's the happy dance. So, no, it's very simple. The happy dance, when I get good news or we get a big fat check in the mail from the show, you know, and then when we found out that, what's your name, by the way?
Karen.
Karen, this is Karen. So Karen's gonna play the role of my wife. And we're very happy. And we just got the phone call that Gilmore is coming back for the revival. My manager called, and I say, honey, come on in the kitchen. We got to do the happy dance. So this is what it is.
That looks so happy. Thank you very much. Guys, I think that's a perfect moment to unfortunately thank our guests. Guys, a big round of applause.
And thank you for being such great fans. You're the best fans in the world. It's really amazing. Everywhere I go in the world, I'm always approached by Gilmore fans who always say nice things, and it's always a pleasant experience. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting this show, because you've affected so many lives for the better, I'm telling you. And we're happy to do that for you too, okay? So, okay? Thank you.
Guys, a round of applause! Guys, a big applause!